you know, we'll take one term at a time. Got to get to the first term first.
You would be 83 at the end of your second term.
But, you know, thank goodness. Let's not be ageist here.
I'm not.
He's a great candidate for president of Sweden. I had two guys from Sweden show up at one of my rallies in Iowa. And I thought they were going to chew me out. Wow, you're bad. They said, why would you do that to our country, they said. So apparently, I take it back.
It would obviously be historic if you were elected president, first people.
You think so?
Obviously.
The one thing I've never been accused of is not being tough enough. Folks have had a lot of different interesting things to say about me. That's every one of them.
I love Sarah Palin. She is a friend of mine. She came and campaigned for me in Texas. I wouldn't be in the Senate if it weren't for Sarah Palin, so I like and respect her. You know, it's interesting. It seems if you spend too much time with Donald Trump, strange things happen to people.
If I win, I'm going to spend so much time in the White House. Who would want to leave the White House? Right? You know, you're in there. No, seriously. Who would want to leave the White House? Although I'm building a hotel right next door, which is also located on Pennsylvania. It's going to be a great hotel. It's going to be a great hotel. You know, I have my alternative. If this doesn't work out, I'll still be on Pennsylvania Avenue. One way or the other, I'm on Pennsylvania.
So from jokes to jabs and everything in between, that was just a little sampling of the 2016 presidential candidates. So how are they connecting with voters? We knew exactly who to ask. Dr. Phil McGraw is a psychologist and nationally syndicated host of Dr. Phil. Great to see you, Doc. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you.
It's fun to see them, you know, lighten up a little bit on the campaign trail.
Yeah, really. It's fun to see them get off script is what's fun for me, because if you watch them enough, you start hearing the same, they're like chatty Cathys. You pull the chain.
That's right.
You get the same thing over and over again. It's like soundbite, soundbite, soundbite. Come on, go off script and tell me something real.
Now, you tell me, as you're the psychologist, I think this is one of the things people love about Trump and Sanders, is that they do go off script. I mean, at that last Democratic forum, Bernie Sanders talking about how fat he is and how he can't button his coat anymore because his belly's sticking out. And, you know, Trump says all sorts of things.
Yes, he does.
So, I mean, you tell me.
No, I do think people like it when they get real, but I mean, you've also got to have an edit button in there somewhere. And but if you're talking without any kind of censoring of your thinking, then you're going to reveal things about yourself, and you need to be prepared to own that. And maybe sometimes it's kind of like, wish I hadn't said that.
Now, Ted Cruz hit Trump for this very issue the other day because Trump is a big fan of Twitter. He goes to Twitter and he writes some things that are a little dicey. And here's what Ted Cruz said yesterday.
I don't know anyone who would be comfortable with someone who behaves this way having his finger on the button. I mean, we're liable to wake up one morning and Donald, if he were president, would have nuked Denmark.
And we like Denmark.
Yeah, but I mean, listen. You know what worries me right now is these guys are all in the same party, and they're saying these things about one another, and this is basically kid glove stuff, and you're seeing them react the way they are. It's like we got a bunch of crybabies over here. They're playing with Nerf balls right now. As soon as this gets out of the party and there is a nominee, you're going to start seeing hardball, and it's going to really, really go. I mean, we're going to ratchet this up a lot. They're going to have to be tough. They're going to have to handle some serious criticism, because these guys are criticizing each other right now, but they're not really going for the jugular. They're not playing hardball yet, and you're seeing a lot of really bad reactions from one another, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of lashing out, and it hasn't really gotten to hardball yet. What's going to happen when the gloves come off and the Democrats and the Republicans start hitting each other really hard? Bernie Sanders talks about Hillary like he's running for vice president sometimes, and then you see the Republicans kind of taking shots but not really going where they could go. It's going to get a lot tougher out there, and they got to show some sand, and I haven't seen it yet.
How do you feel like the average American reacts to this? Because you have, you know, a huge audience, biggest audience in the country, and you have a lot of women watching in particular. What do you think they think when they see this intra-party fighting?
Well, you know, I think for a while it's entertaining, but, you know, it's about your physiology. You see people yell and scream. Pretty soon your adrenal glands get atrophy. You can't scream and yell all the way to November. You can't do it. You're going to fatigue out, and people are going to fatigue out listening to that. At some point, you're going to have to drop all of the hyperbole, you're going to have to drop all the yelling, and you're going to have to start putting verbs in your sentences instead of adjectives. You're going to have to start talking about, here's what we're going to do that affects you. And that hasn't really happened yet. There's been a lot of generalities, there's been a lot of superlatives, and people have been entertained by the rhetoric. But that wears out pretty soon, and I think it's starting to wear out already, and people are going to start saying, okay, that was fun, that was entertaining. I actually got some catharsis through some of this. That was great. Okay, now, tell me what the hell you're going to do for me.
How about the anger in the country? We talked about this a little the last time. The polls out of Iowa showed that it was, I think, 92% of the Republican voters say they're angry and they are dissatisfied with our government right now, and they're looking for somebody who's going to address it.
That's true, but when you're angry, that's when you're at your absolute weakest and most vulnerable. Being angry means you're seeing yourself as a victim. And Americans don't do well as victims. Americans do much better as victors instead of victims. And I think they're looking for somebody to lead them to that victor position instead of decry their position as a victim. And so somebody's standing up there yelling and screaming with them, you know, we've been victimized, we've been victimized. Okay, how are you going to fix that? How are you going to change that? We like being victors, not victims. And somebody's going to need to say, here's what we do to reclaim our role as a preeminent country in the world, the preeminent economy in the world, the preeminent leadership in the world. And that's what people are going to be listening for from either side of the aisle.
And by the way, that's true in your personal life as well.
Yeah, absolutely, it's true. Listen, politics are very personal. And you're going to vote your heart. I don't think you're going to vote on a state level, even a local level. I think it's very personal. And if you're feeling that connection with somebody, then, and you feel like they're going to run my agenda, they're going to go do the things that need to fix my family, fix my needs in my family, that's who you're going to feel comfortable with.